Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of You Have Got to Be Knitting Me, the knitting podcast. I think this episode is episode 8. My name is Nora. I host this podcast, and I also am You Have Got to Be Knitting Me on Instagram and on TikTok. I'm kind of close to 3,000 followers on TikTok, so you should follow me. I have kind of an idea of what I wanted to do if I get 3,000 followers, but it's one of those things that I think might only be funny to me, but just stay tuned for that. I have kind of a funny idea anyway. Yeah, so if you watched last episode, I was dog sitting, so that's why I'm in this house, and then I'm dog sitting again, so it kind of seems like I didn't leave, but I did, and I also was cat sitting in between, so you never really know where I am. But I'm back with my little doggy, and I'm filming another episode of my knitting podcast. I have lots to talk about today. Oh, first I want to talk about what I'm wearing. I have my Pink Pony Club sweatshirt on that I made. I made this when my friends Ben and Leah and I were going to go see Chapel Roan last April. We went to go see her in Kansas City, and it was really fun. And I made these sweatshirts for us, and I printed onto iron transfer paper the Pink Pony Club and then Naked in Missouri. I did that 3 times, and then I cut out the letters individually, and then I have tons of vintage quilt scraps, and so I used that as the backing. And then, okay, here's the dog hair, and then I sewed it onto the sweatshirt using zigzag stitch, and it's all raw edges. And I am like so surprised about how well it has held up. When I sent them to my friends, I was like, these are here for a good time, not a long time. Like, I don't think they're gonna wash very well. It's all raw edges and zigzag stitch. I think the first time, so this was over a year ago. I think the first time I wore this, I might have washed it in the washing machine and hung it to dry, but I haven't been doing that, and it's still holding up pretty well. Some of the edges have loose threads coming out, but I was not expecting it to hold up as well. And the letters too, they're cracked, but I was expecting them to not last more than a few washes, so really exciting. And at the time that I made this, Chapel was not Pink Pony Club wasn't a household name, and so I thought that these sweatshirts were funny because it could be referring to a location, in the song it's referring to a Pink Pony Club, but if you just saw the sweatshirt, you didn't know what it means, me, Ben, and Leah are referring to a club as a group of people. I thought it was funny to think of us in the Kansas City airport all wearing these, and people are like, what is Pink Pony Club? But now everyone knows what this means, and I get a lot of compliments on the sweatshirt. So yeah, that's what I'm wearing, my Chapel Roan sweatshirt. And yeah, let's get into knitting. I have 3 finished objects and 2 whips that are really exciting, so let's talk about knitting. Okay, the first thing I have to show is my Strippy Stripe tank top by James & Watts. Here it is. Okay, my last episode I kept on putting my arm on top of my head, and then my hair was my hair the whole time last episode was so crazy, but I need to not put my hand on top of my head. And I like to just say my goals for the episode out loud to the audience and myself editing. I'm not gonna put my arm on top of my head this episode. This is my finished Strippy Stripey tank top by James & Watts. I think it's so cute. It's made out of Purl, Soho, cotton, Chirp. I'll talk about the yarn in a second, but this is a test knit. The test knit is due at the end of the month, the end of May, so I'm assuming that it's gonna be coming out early June. I don't know exactly when it's gonna be released, but yeah, it's just a cute tank top, and it's knit you cast on and knit around and pick up stitch or cast on stitches for the straps, and it's a full back. And as I said, the yarn is Purl, Soho, cotton, Chirp, and it comes in packs of 4. So I got 3 packs of 4 called Meadow, Phlox, which is the pink and purple one, and then the yellows and gold is from I think it's called Mint Citrus, and then the greens are Inchworm. And I used, so that would be 12 balls of yarn, and I used 8 out of the 12. And with that, I was like ending with like this much yarn of each color. So I would keep that in mind. I knit the medium. I would keep that in mind when you're knitting. Like the yardage is said like in a whole number. And so 8 skeins or 8 balls of yarn would equal that whole number, but I was running out of yarn, or I didn't run out of yarn, but it was very close with each stripe. So if you're really particular about like how big you want the stripes to be or something, I would just keep that in mind that I was very close to running out of yarn for this, or not running out of yarn, but I just had to make some creative choices with which stripes were gonna be which thickness. So just keep that in mind. That's the yarn. This is my first test knit. I don't have anything to say that I would change, so great test knit experience. I was excited to have the pattern early, and I think it's really giving limited to. I actually haven't tried it on post blocking. I tried it on before blocking, and it looks really good. And hopefully after I film this episode, I'm going to take some finished object pictures, because I'm a little behind on taking photos of my finished objects, especially my garments. It's so hard to take photos. It really is. I find Instagram such a challenge. The one like thing about this is that you are changing colors very frequently, and you have a lot of ends to weave in at the end. I am glad that I weaved in my ends as I went, like every section. If like I would knit the front, knit the side, weave in some ends, knit a little bit more, weave in some ends. I'm glad I did that because it is a lot of ends to weave in, and I was getting a little frustrated. The dog is kind of huffing and puffing. I was getting a little frustrated because it's cotton yarn, and you know how sometimes it's not as sticky as like animal fibers. When I was weaving my ends, I felt like all of the ends were poking out the front. So here's an example of it is poking out of the front, but after blocking, it was a lot better. So that's just my advice. Oh, I just put my arm on top of my head. My advice is to weave in your ends as you go, because there is a lot of ends. And I think in the pattern, he says the number of rows you're supposed to do for the I-cord. I think I did like 30 rows for every section but that was when I was really like, had to make some yarn choices. So like you can see that there's more colors. Some colors are represented in the I-cord more than others because I was running out of yarn. So that's my Strippy Stripey tank. I'm excited to wear it a lot this summer. I love a knit tank. I always get a lot of use out of them in the summer. Especially cotton yarn is nice. I never knit with cotton yarn, but it was nice. I'm excited to wear that. Okay, my next 2 finished objects are socks. The first sock I was knitting in the last episode. I think I had 1 done. They're called the Kohaku socks by Yucca. They're beautiful cable socks. And they have this like toe detail on the front that I think is so beautiful. This is my second time knitting the socks. I also knit in a pair in orange, but it was Cascade Heritage, which I love Cascade Heritage. It's gonna be represented later in this video as well, but not super great for sock yarn. It doesn't wear well, so I knit them in a little bit of a sturdier sock yarn. This is, I got it at Brooklyn General. Magpie Fibers, Swanky sock, say chic is the color. Super beautiful. What else do I want to say? Oh, it has 2 different versions of the pattern. One is seed stitch in the cable, and one is garter stitch. I used the garter stitch one. I think I did that for the last one as well. And then it's a short row heel. It has a little bit of increases on the foot to shape the heel. Short row heel, super pretty. And then here's the other one. It's knit from the toe up. Here's the other one. Yeah. And I always love in patterns when it's cabled and the cables go into the ribbing. So it's not like knit 1, purl 1. The ribbing matches the cable. So it's like knit 1, purl 2, knit 2, purl, blah, blah, blah. So it matches, and I think that's really pretty. And yeah, these are my Kohaku socks, fresh off the sock blockers. I'm having a delicious cup of PG Tips. That's my favorite type of tea. And I always have to, there's a bug, do not go in my PG tips. I order in bulk and I just ran out of my Christmas stock. So I'm going to need to get some more. I think there's a British store kind of near me, which hopefully I can get it there, or I'm gonna have to order online. But I love a delicious cup of PG tips. It's black tea that I drink with milk. It's very interesting. I think you always talk about what you're drinking and eating on Knitting Podcast, so it is interesting. Okay, my final finished object of this episode are these socks that do look quite silly because they're completely ribbed and I do have size 10 feet. The pattern is the Simply Ribbed Socks with square heel. That's the whole title of the pattern. It's by This Handmade Life. And I've had this on my Ravelry favorites, Ravelry liked page for a very long time. And I just have been kind of waiting for the yarn that I wanted to knit this in. And I kind of was envisioning a slightly variegated yarn. Like variegated in it's all one color palette. It's not like there's huge pools of like blue and yellow. I think that'd be a little distracting on the ribbing. These are all like pinks and reds. I was kind of looking for a similar like cohesive variegated yarn. And then I was really excited about the heel, which does look a bit strange, not on the foot. And I didn't block these and I'm not going to block rib socks, but I do wish I had my sock blockers just to show. But the heel is completely ribbed and square at the bottom, which I'm really excited about. They're super comfortable. And I knit them pretty long, and I knit them specifically to wear with my new Keen shoes. I'm just really excited about my Keens and wearing them with knit socks. An update from last episode, I returned the pair that are too big and have my new pair, and they're so comfortable, and I'm so glad I bought them. And they look really good with my socks. Yeah, so that's the pattern. It's completely ribbed, even on the bottom of the foot, which is kind of unique. I don't think I was conscious of that when I picked the pattern, and then when I turned the heel, I was like, oh, I guess I continue in rib. But it makes it really comfortable, and it doesn't bother the bottom of my feet. So I have already purchased yarn to knit another pair of this. I did buy them Fire Opal yarn that I was talking about last week, so I'm excited to knit another pair. I think that's going to be a pattern that I'm just gonna always have on the needles or always be thinking about because I really enjoyed knitting it and they're really comfortable. So, and I can picture myself wearing them. So many socks I knit and I love and I do wear, but it's like, it's extra exciting when you're buying clothes or knitting something and you already have outfits planned for it. I always think that's how you judge if you should buy something or not, or make something or not. Anyway, those are all my finished objects. Okay, I am really excited about my works in progress. What I'm knitting and what I'm about to show you is so freaking adorable. Okay, first of all, before I show, this is a gift for a friend. If you are a friend of mine and your birthday is coming up and you send kind of too vague text about birthday plans in the next couple of weeks, stop watching or skip over this part because this gift is for you. If that doesn't apply to you, please keep watching. Okay, my friend's birthday is coming up. And I've been looking for an excuse to knit this. And the second that I got a text that it was her birthday, I was like, perfect. I knew it was her birthday, but I got a text that we were doing something. Okay, look at this donkey. Is she not the cutest thing ever? Yeah, she's really, I can't believe how cute she is. This is, I have the book here. Mouche and Friends by Cinthia Vallet. She has really good little animal patterns. I'll talk more about this, but pattern is called Horatio The Donkey from this book. They all have little stories and names, but this particular donkey is given girl. Oh no, I forgot something. Wait, I'll be right back. This is really important. It's part of her outfit. I could not have filmed this episode without that. Okay. Yeah, so the character is named Horatio, but this particular one I think is a girl. That's what she's been telling me. Yeah, I think she's so cute. Every time I make one of these animals, I've made a few. I'll show the book in a second. Every time I make one of these animals, like as I'm going to bed, I'm like, it's like hard to go to sleep because I'm so excited to keep knitting. So I knit this in like 2 days just because it's so exciting to knit. And also each step is pretty short. I always find patterns that are like, you knit the nose and then you knit the ears and like it's sectioned off. I feel like it's really hard to stop knitting because you're like, oh, one more section. So I knit this very quickly. And she's so cute. She's so cute. The yarn that I'm using is, okay, Stella the dog did eat, or she didn't eat it, but she put the gray fingering weight yarn in her mouth for long enough that I decided I was just gonna throw it out. She didn't eat it, which is good. That would have been bad. So the silver or the gray yarn for the donkey is in the trash now, but thankfully I don't need it anymore. That was I just keep saying everything's hedgehog fiber. This is what I dream of. It's Heritage, Cascade Heritage, and the color was silver gray. And then it's held together with Knitting for Olive Mohair. I'm not sure what this color is, but whatever the gray Knitting for Olive Mohair is. I usually use Knitting for Olive because I find it is one of the lesser expensive mohairs, so that's usually my go-to if I'm just looking for a solid color. That's some advice. So that's what the main color of this donkey is. And then I use this white for the nose, which is Knit Picks Stroll, in the color I'm assuming is called white. And then this is Knit Picks Palette in the color Bison. And I have so much of this yarn because during COVID, during April 2020, I ordered a sweater's quantity of yarn in palette to make my second out of 3 Damyakalopas, which is a color worked cardigan. And I ordered the yarn, and it was like 5 different colorways of this yarn, and it never came in the mail, and it was really sad, especially because of COVID. And I know that there was a lot of problems in the world, but it you couldn't go to the store and buy yarn, and I was sitting at my house with no yarn for a really long time, and it was very sad. And so finally I contacted Knit Picks after a month, and they sent me another box, and then a month later the original box showed up. So I have 2 sweaters quantity of this yarn. I've knit 2 sweaters in this brown color, and I still have extra. So actually I've had Knit Picks send me accidentally, sometimes I do think it's on purpose, they're just throwing yarn in boxes just to give samples or something, but I have received full sweater quantities of yarn from Knit Picks that I did not order. So that's a good ad for Knit Picks, I guess. Anyway, that's the colors I'm using to knit this donkey. I think she's so cute. This is the biggest one out of all I've knit. I'm excited to stuff her and block her. Oh, and what I forgot is this hat. And then she also comes with overalls, which I'm not done knitting. I just need to knit the back and the straps of the overalls, but it even has little pockets and back pockets and a hole for her tail. This designer thinks of everything. Let me put the hat on because it's really adorable. So yeah, I've knit several. This book was really worth the purchase. I think I've knit several of them. I knit the duck first, and then I knit a pig and a raccoon for my cousin when she was having a baby, and I knit the raccoon for the baby and the pig for the baby's older sister, and then I knit the orangutan for myself. Oh yeah, here's how she looks in the hat. Is that not so cute? You would have been really sad if I didn't go and get the hat, right? And then with the green overalls, look at that. So the one thing I want to say with the overalls is I definitely you pick up and knit the pockets, and I definitely was neater on one side than the other on both. So this side is really nice on both, and this one's a little messy. And I just think that the donkey is so neat that I'm a little disappointed about this. And after blocking, if it doesn't look good still, I might knit another pair in a more forgiving, if I had a fuzzier yarn, not mohair, but if I had a fuzzier yarn, it would maybe hide that a little bit more. So there is a potential that these are not the overalls that I settle on, but I'm gonna finish these and block them at least. But I'll just show you the book. So here it is again. Mochi and Friends by Cinthia Vallet. And Mochi is the bear. And then the Friends, that's just kind of a squad. But I've knit a few. So this is the donkey, all stuffed. I think his hat has a pom-pom on it, but I'm not gonna knit, well, I don't like making pom-poms, and also I think it looks cute just like this. So I wasn't planning on making a pom-pom anyway. And then I've made the pig. I'll put pictures of the ones I've made too, but they're just so cute. Alphonse. And they have like little stories that they come with. And the duck, I knit a yellow one. I didn't knit the dress though. I think my duck was a boy duck. And then the raccoon. It's good that all the ones I knit are all in a row. And then the orangutan I made for myself. And I really brushed out the mohair, so his hair is like fuzzy and cute. Yeah, I'll put some pictures of all of these. But I highly recommend this book if you're looking to knit stuffed animals, especially like really detailed ones like this. Like, she truly thinks of everything. Like, even the legs are like bow-legged. And then the overalls are bow-legged. Like, so I'll finish this today. I'm really excited. I'm really excited to give it as a gift. She's gonna be so surprised. And I'm really excited for my friends to have babies and knit these sort of babies. I've only got to knit them for my cousin's babies. But I'm just really excited to knit for babies. So if you are not even a close friend of mine and you have a baby, you're probably gonna get something knit for you. It's just so cute to knit things for babies. I don't really have any babies in my life. Anyway, I have one more whip to show you. Maybe I'll pause the camera and show it. All right, I have one sweater on the needle. Maybe I'll show the color palette first. It's a striped sweater, and this, I'm not gonna go through each yarn, but this is just generally the color scheme I'm going for. I'm more of a project basket and bowl girl than a project bag girl. I just like having my yarn. If I'm on the go, it's nice to have a bag. I'll just put it in a tote bag. My socks, I usually have in a bag, but I like to have my yarn in baskets, especially when I'm knitting in Tarja. It makes me feel like I'm like a pro. I don't know. So yeah, this is my general color palette for my sweater. And then I'm knitting the Wavy sweater, or it might be called the Wavy pullover, by Josefine Dyring. It's not on Ravelry, it's on her website. I'll have a link to it in the description, but here it is. So the bottom is just this wavy pattern for a few inches, and the rest is stockinette, long sleeve sweater, and a turtleneck, which I'm excited about. Perfect for the summer. I think her original sample is solid red, and then in the pattern she also has striped photos, and I was seeing a lot of people online do stripes, so I decided that I wanted to do that. So I went into my stash and just pulled out, didn't matter what weight it was, but I just pulled out my blues and greens and then a few pops of yellow and red. And the pattern is written for bulky weight yarn, but I don't think I have any bulky weight yarn in my stash at all. And so I was planning on holding yarn together anyway. And so just for kind of an example, I went down, this is knit in 2 needle sizes, and for both of them, I went down 1 needle size. I didn't do a gauge swatch. I'm just going on vibes because this is a really oversized sweater. And I'm switching gauges, I'm switching yarn so much, I think I'll be fine. But I did go down 1 needle size because I think the gauge for this is mostly gonna come out to more worsted weight than bulky weight. And I prefer knitting on smaller needles with smaller yarn. I think that's my, like 5 and lower is my preferred knitting. But I think this is gonna be really nice how like drapey the sweater is gonna be, and also with the turtlenecks. Sometimes I feel the sweaters I've made with collars are like bulky, but this is gonna be really thin material. But all of that to say is I did go down 1 needle size, and the yarn is basically worsted. So this is worsted, just one strand of worsted yarn. This is worsted with 1 strand of mohair. This is 3 fingering weight, 1 strand of mohair. This is 1 DK, 1 fingering weight. This is just worsted. This is worsted with mohair, 3 fingering with mohair, worsted, worsted. I think this is worsted. This might be bulky. This is the yarn for my cloud pullover, and it was held together with mohair. And so, yeah, I'm just knitting stripes. Originally, I was going to base it off of her sweater, like do the amount of rows that she did, just because I don't really know why I was going to do that, but I did save it to my iPad and like draw some notes on her photos. But then I think it's because I picked out so much yarn that I was like, I need to just go crazy with my own stripes. So yeah, it's the Wavy sweater. I'm excited to knit on that. It's fun to go through your stash and just pick out yarn. I love doing that. Knitting scrappy projects. So that's my Wavy sweater, and that's all the knits I have. Okay, so I just would do a little catch up at the end. I just will do a little catch up at the end. So in my life, I'm dog sitting again, which is fun. I like to dog sit and pretend that I have a different life, and I'm like, this is my house and this is my neighborhood, and I like just kind of cosplaying as a different person. I think it's fun, and especially as somebody who's not a homeowner, I love pretending that this is my house. So I'm dog sitting, and then last weekend I went to Boston to see my friends because it was Porch Fest in Somerville, which was really fun. People open up their porches and bands come and play concerts, and so that was really fun. I wore my shaggy shirt, which I made, a beautiful Intarsia tank top, and I did not get any compliments. My friends obviously complimented me, but in the wild, so that's kind of disappointing. That's like, what's the point of wearing a handmade thing if people aren't complimenting you? I'm just kidding. But the reason I bring up Porch Fest in a knitting sense is I saw a halibut sweater in the wild, and I got too shy to say something, but a guy was wearing it, and he was sitting next to a girl, and I just got the vibes that she made the sweater, and I didn't want to go up and be like, did you make his sweater? Because obviously he could have made his sweater, but I just like knitters just have that sense. Like, I just knew that she made the sweater. She was just giving me those vibes. And so, and I was just feeling shy in general. It wasn't just that. But he had a very beautiful halibut sweater, and it was green, and then the fish were light green. So that was exciting. I wonder if he got any compliments on his handmade sweater for Porch Fest, because I sure did. But I'll put a picture of my outfit, or my picture with me and my friends, so you can see my shaggy shirt and see that I did have fun. It was a good time. It's good to see my friends. And I rode the T, which when I can figure out public transportation, it makes me feel really smart. And I had no problems on this day, so it made me feel really smart and like a true city girl. And just finally, for what I've been consuming media-wise, another delicious sip of PG Tips. I'm watching Hacks still. I love Hacks. It's so good. I just finished season 2, but I'm taking a little break because I'm dog sitting and they don't have Max here, and I want to watch it on the TV. So I took a season 2 break. I'm really excited. And I also I think season 4, by the time I pick up again, season 4 will be all the way done, so I won't have to wait for episodes. So that's exciting. I love Hacks. It's so funny. And then I also watched the first episode of Conan Must Go. Season 2 just started, and there are only 3 episodes, I believe, but I really like that show, and it's a good show to, like, you don't have to pay attention the whole time. Like, it's just Conan being funny in different countries, and they were just in Spain. And I think the next episode they're in New Zealand, and Taika Waititi's in it, so I'm really excited to watch that. And then finally, I've been watching Overcompensating on Amazon Prime, and I've been watching it here because they do have Amazon Prime here, so I think I have 2 more episodes left. It's like very silly, and at some points I kind of roll my eyes, but it's really funny and cute, and every single actor on there has a podcast, which is great. But I think that's the new like media that we're coming into, that everyone's podcast host, including me. Hey. No, every single person on that show is a podcast host, but also really funny. Yeah, it's just very college, Charlie XCX is in it. The music's great. Apparently she's the music director, so the music is really fun. And there are a lot of relatable jokes in there. So yeah, I think I'm on episode 6 out of 8, and I really enjoyed it. So that's all I'm watching. For books, I finished Sour Cherry, and I'm like, it wasn't my favorite book, but it wasn't my least favorite book. And then I was reading another book that I decided not to finish. So yeah, no books right now. I ordered one from my local bookstore and I have a gift card, so hopefully that will be good. And then I also ordered this book called Something Rotten, which I always put books on my to-read list and then forget why, and then I just like check them out from the library and totally forget why. So I put a book called Something Rotten on hold at the library, but I don't remember what it's about. But hopefully that will be good. And I'm still working on getting out of my reading slump. I'm reading every day, but sometimes it's a little hard. But yeah, I really liked, maybe if somebody has like a series that they can recommend. I'm not really into fantasy. I read Fourth Wing and I liked it. So maybe you can recommend a fantasy, but I really like the Silo series, and that was like the last thing I read before my reading slump. And so maybe I should look for something like that. Or maybe I should, like, every couple of years I feel like I need to reread it, and then I'm like, why do you keep rereading it? Like, how many times do you need to read that 1,000-page book? But I think maybe rereading it would get me out of my reading slump. So if these next few books don't help, then maybe I'll just have to go Stephen King to help. Yeah, that's really all I have to talk about. I'm really excited, especially to finish The Donkey. So stay tuned for next episode. I'll show that all finished. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you soon. Happy knitting. Bye.